Here we go, guys. Stabbing Westward.
The 90s were a golden era for music, brimming with grunge, alternative rock, pop punk, and experimental sounds that defined a generation. Yet, not every band captured the spotlight or enjoyed lasting fame. Behind the hits and hype, numerous talented American bands struggled to break through, fading quickly from mainstream attention despite critical acclaim or cult followings. So, join us as we explore the 25 famous bands from the 90s USA that failed miserably. Formed in Los Angeles in 1990, Failure stood out in the alternative rock scene with Ken Andrews, vocals, guitar, Greg Edwards, bass, guitar, and later Kelly Scott, drums. Their sound fused heavy riffs with atmospheric textures, culminating in the 1996 album Fantastic Planet, now considered a cult classic.
People that are still interested, that genuinely love the music, and I think that was the main impetus.
Despite critical acclaim, the record sold poorly and gained little radio play, leaving the band unable to break into the mainstream. By 1997, weighed down by industry challenges and lack of commercial support, Failure disbanded, earning recognition mainly from a small but loyal fan base. After the breakup, Andrews pursued solo work and production. Edwards co-founded Autolux, and Scott became a sought-after session drummer. The band later reunited in 2014, but in the 1990s they embodied the fate of many innovative acts, praised for vision, yet unsuccessful in achieving mass popularity. If Failure's experimental alt-rock sound captured a cult audience, what would Hum bring to the 90s alternative scene with their spacey, heavy melodies? Formed in Champaign, Illinois in 1989, Hum built their reputation on a fusion of heavy guitar textures and spacey atmospherics. Their 1995 album You'd Prefer an Astronaut produced the hit single Stars, which briefly carried them into mainstream rotation on MTV and radio. While critically praised, the band struggled to follow up that success.
Which hits the Desert Sky Pavilion in Phoenix tomorrow afternoon. Here with a song from You'd Prefer an Astronaut is Hum. Give him a hand.
Their 1998 release Downward is Heavenward earned strong reviews but sold poorly, leading to their disbandment in 2000. Afterward, members pursued other projects. Matt Talbot continued in music and later opened Earth Analog, a recording studio. Jeff Dempsey played with various local acts, and Brian Street Pear worked outside the industry until his passing in 2021. The band reunited in 2015, releasing the acclaimed Inlet in 2020. Despite limited commercial success, Hum remains remembered as a quintessential 1990s act whose dense, atmospheric sound earned lasting cult status. But how did Toadies perform? Let's find out. Formed in Fort Worth, Texas in 1989, Toadies gained fame with their 1994 debut Rubberneck, featuring the hit Possum Kingdom.
It is National One-Hit Wonder Day. The North Texas-based band Toadies to get the scoop on whether or not they consider themselves to be a one-hit wonder.
Known for gritty alternative rock and dark lyrical themes, the band captured the angst of mid-1990s rock. However, their follow-up album, Feeler, was shelved by Interscope in 1997, stalling momentum, and their next release, Hell Below, Stars Above, 2001, failed commercially. Frustration with the industry and shifting musical trends led to their disbandment that year. Afterward, frontman Vaden Todd Lewis pursued solo projects, while other members explored local music endeavors. The band reunited in 2006, re-releasing Rubberneck for its 20th anniversary and continuing to tour and record sporadically. Despite a brief mainstream peak, Toadies remain a memorable 1990s act, remembered for their signature blend of dark, intense alternative rock and lasting influence on fans of the era. Stabbing Westward rose to prominence in the mid-1990s with Un God, 1994, and Wither Blister Burn and Peel, 1996. Their industrial rock sound blended metal riffs, electronic textures, and emotionally intense lyrics, resonating with alternative and goth audiences. Singles like Shame and Save Yourself gained MTV exposure, but the band struggled to maintain mainstream success amid label pressures and the declining popularity of industrial rock. Lineup changes and shifting musical trends further hindered momentum, leading to their breakup in 2002. Afterward, frontman Christopher Hall formed The Dreaming.
Christopher from Stabbing Westward. Christopher, how have you been enjoying the con?
It's been amazing so far, yes, it's cool. I feel very normal.
While other members pursued session work or local projects. Stabbing Westward reunited in 2016 for tours and new recordings, rekindling interest among longtime fans. Despite a brief commercial peak, the band remains a quintessential 1990s industrial rock act, remembered for their aggressive yet melodic approach and lasting influence on the darker alternative scene. Formed in Chicago in 1992, Veruca Salt quickly gained attention in the 1990s alternative rock scene with duo vocalists Nina Gordon and Louise Post. Their 1994 debut, American Thighs, featured the hit single Seether, which captured the post-grunge energy of the era and earned heavy MTV rotation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Veruca Salt!
Despite early success, internal conflicts led to Gordon's departure in 1998, and subsequent albums failed to match their breakthrough's commercial impact. Afterward, Gordon pursued a solo career, while Post continued recording under the Veruca Salt name with new members. In 2013, the original lineup reunited, releasing new music and touring to critical and fan acclaim. While they never regained mainstream dominance, Veruca Salt is remembered as a quintessential 1990s alternative band, blending catchy hooks with grunge-inspired aggression and leaving a lasting influence on the decade's female-fronted rock acts. Formed in New York City in 1992, Nada Surf gained attention with jangly guitars, melodic hooks, and introspective lyrics. Their 1996 album Popular featured the hit single of the same name, which became a defining anthem of 1990s college rock.
This band was formed after a much more ambitious band had broken up, and we were doing this for fun. We didn't want a name, and Daniel, our bass player, said, let's just be nada, like nothing, like no name.
While Popular brought brief mainstream visibility, later albums failed to replicate its chart success, and the band never became a major commercial force in the U.S. Matthew Caws, vocals, guitar, Daniel Lorca, bass, Ira Elliott, drums, and Doug Gillard, guitar, continued recording and touring steadily, building a loyal fan base and achieving particular acclaim in Europe and indie circles. Nada Surf has maintained creative consistency, releasing multiple albums and remaining active into the 2020s. Though their mainstream spotlight was short-lived, they are remembered as a quintessential 1990s alternative band whose clever songwriting and melodic energy earned lasting cult status. After the witty, catchy success of Nada Surf, how did Tripping Daisy's eccentric and energetic Firecracker approach contrast in the same decade? Formed in Dallas, Texas in 1990, Tripping Daisy gained attention with their psychedelic-tinged alternative rock and energetic live shows.
Here tonight to perform a song from their album I Am an Elastic Firecracker. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to our show, Tripping Daisy.
Their 1995 album, I Am an Elastic Firecracker, featured the hit single I Got a Girl, which brought national attention and MTV airplay. Despite critical praise and a devoted regional following, the band struggled to sustain mainstream success amid internal challenges and shifts in the alternative rock landscape.
Is an armadillo hat, does it start to go bad after about a week?
Well, no, we keep it outside until we want to wear it. So you wear it for the...
To an appropriate function.
Yeah.
Got a sun dry.
Tragedy struck in 1999 with the death of guitarist Wes Berggren, leading to the band's disbandment that year. Afterward, frontman Tim DeLaughter formed the Polyphonic Spree, a larger orchestral rock project that achieved lasting acclaim.
Hi everybody, I'm Tim DeLauder from the Polyphonic Spree. This little baby has been, 6 years, almost 7 years in the making. Very proud of it.
While other members pursued local music and studio work. Though their mainstream visibility was brief, Tripping Daisy is remembered as a 1990s act whose creativity, experimental sound, and lively performances left a lasting mark on alternative rock fans. Active from 1992 to 2000, Soul Coughing carved a unique niche in 1990s music with their fusion of alternative rock, jazz, hip-hop, and electronic sampling. Fronted by singer and lyricist Mike Doughty, with Mark DiGliantoni, keyboards, Sebastian Steinberg, bass, and Yuval Gabay, drums.
I'm Matt Pinfield, and with me now are Mark Doughty, Yuval, and Sebastian of the New York band Soul Coughing. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Second album out now, Irresistible Bliss.
The band was acclaimed for its experimental, rhythm-driven sound. Albums like Ruby Vroom, 1994, and Irresistible Bliss, 1996, earned critical praise.
Doughty and Yuval from Soul Coughing. They have a great new album, their third. It's called L.O.S.O. Oh, there he goes. You're good.
But their unconventional style limited mainstream appeal. Following their 2000 breakup, Doughty launched a successful solo career, while other members pursued session work and local projects. Despite modest commercial success, Soul Coughing remains a quintessential 1990s underground act, celebrated for genre-blending innovation and inventive songwriting. Their influence endures among fans of alternative, experimental, and electronic-infused rock. Formed in New York in 1993, Ruth Ruth emerged from the hardcore and punk scene, blending aggressive guitar riffs with melodic hooks. Their energetic live shows and emotionally charged lyrics earned underground acclaim among post-hardcore and alternative rock fans. Albums like Off Duty, 1995, and Not Dead Yet, 1997, showcased their intense sound, but mainstream success eluded them due to niche appeal, limited label support, and lineup changes. After the band disbanded in the late 1990s, members pursued other music projects within the New York punk and hardcore scene, contributing to local bands and studio work. While largely unknown to the broader public, Ruth Ruth remains remembered as a quintessential 1990s underground act whose raw energy and innovative post-hardcore style influenced other bands in the genre, illustrating the frequent gap between critical praise and commercial success in the decade. Formed in New York in 1994, Marcy Playground gained fame with their 1997 hit single Sex and Candy from their self-titled debut album.
My next guest are here to perform the hit single from their self-titled debut album. Please welcome, from right here in New York City, Marcy Playground.
Led by John Wozniak, vocals, guitar, alongside Dylan Keefe, bass, and Shlomi Levy, drums, joined later, the band's laid-back alternative rock sound, melodic hooks, and dreamy instrumentation resonated with late 90s audiences, earning MTV exposure and chart success. Despite the breakthrough, subsequent albums like Shapeshifter, 1999, failed to replicate their debut's mainstream impact, as changing musical trends and limited label support hindered further commercial success. Wozniak and the band continued recording and touring, cultivating a dedicated cult following. Though widely remembered as a 1990s one-hit wonder, Marcy Playground exemplifies the volatility of alternative rock fame, showing how a single defining hit can cement a band's place in music history while leaving later work largely overlooked. On the other hand, Spacehog created waves that eventually faded. Formed in New York in 1994, Spacehog gained fame with their 1995 debut Resident Alien, featuring the hit single In the Meantime.
Folks, here to perform a song from their new album, Resident Alien, is Spacehog.
Comprised of Royston Langdon, vocals, bass, Anthony Langdon, guitar, Johnny Craig, drums, and Robert Carreri, keyboard, The band combined glam-inspired alternative rock, layered vocals, and spacey aesthetics, appealing to college radio and alternative audiences. Despite early promise, later albums like the Chinese album failed to replicate their debut success, as shifting musical trends in the late 1990s and industry pressures hindered mainstream momentum. Royston Langdon pursued solo work and later married actress Liv Tyler, while the band reunited for tours and new releases. Spacehog remains remembered as a 1990s act whose distinctive sound earned a devoted cult following despite brief commercial visibility. From Spacehog's theatrical style to Sponge's grunge-influenced Rotting Pinata, could gritty authenticity reign supreme in the 90s rock charts? Formed in 1991 in Detroit, Sponge achieved mainstream success with their 1994 album Rotting Pinata, featuring hits like Plowed and Molly, 16 Candles Down the Drain.
Here to perform a song from their hit album Rotting Pinata. And they're joined tonight by guest vocalist Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo. Please give a nice warm welcome to Sponge!
Their gritty alternative rock with post-grunge influences made them staples on 90s rock radio and MTV. Subsequent albums failed to match their debut, and lineup changes, combined with shifting musical trends, reduced their visibility. By the late 1990s, their commercial appeal had declined. Original members, including Vinnie Dombrowski, continued performing under the Sponge name, though without major chart impact, highlighting the difficulty of sustaining long-term success in a competitive era. Emerging from Nashville in 1993, Self gained attention for their inventive alternative rock, blending pop hooks with experimental production. Their 1995 debut, Subliminal Plastic Motives, earned critical praise for layered guitars and quirky rhythms but struggled commercially, as radio found their eclectic style challenging. Touring helped them build a loyal cult following, yet mainstream success eluded them.
He's been named one of the hottest guys in rock music. This is their EP. It's called Super Fake Nice. It just came out yesterday, making their television debut with a song Runaway. Self!
Frontman Matt Mahaffey continued making music through solo projects and production work, while other members pursued various musical endeavors. Self is remembered as a bold 1990s alternative band, whose experimentation influenced later indie acts, exemplifying the era's underground creativity despite limited mainstream recognition. Formed in 1991 in Portland, Everclear rose to fame with Sparkle and Fade, 1995, and So Much for the Afterglow, 1997, known for catchy hooks, introspective lyrics, and a gritty post-grunge sound.
National television debut on our show 3 years ago, and they're here with a song from their hit album So Much for the Afterglow. Please welcome Everclear.
The band's commercial peak was brief, as changing music trends and emerging genres overshadowed their style. Original members, including frontman Art Alexakis, later pursued side projects or left the band, while Alexakis continued leading Everclear with new lineups. Despite fading from mainstream charts, Everclear remains a defining 1990s alternative rock act, remembered for their radio-friendly hits and influence on post-grunge bands, exemplifying the challenges of sustaining long-term success in a competitive era. Chavez, formed in New York City in 1993, became a standout in the 1990s underground rock scene. Signed to Matador Records, they released Gone Glimmering, 1995, and Ride the Fader, 1996, praised for angular guitar riffs, complex time signatures, and a heavy yet melodic sound.
And now, I give you the men of Chavez.
Despite critical acclaim and a loyal cult following, Chavez never broke into the mainstream, overshadowed by grunge and radio-friendly alternative rock. Members, including guitarist-vocalist Clay Tarver, guitarist Matt Sweeney, bassist Scott Marshall, and drummer James Ello, pursued other music and production projects after the band's 1990s activity. Chavez is remembered as an underrated gem of 1990s indie rock, influencing math rock and alternative bands while remaining largely outside commercial recognition. Originating in the early 1990s in Michigan, the Verve Pipe gained fame with their 1996-97 hit, The Freshman, from Villains, known for melodic alternative rock and introspective lyrics.
Wonderful band from East Lansing, Michigan. They have a terrific song. You see it all over the MTV. Their CD is called Villains. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Verve Pipe.
Despite this success, subsequent releases failed to replicate its impact, and shifting musical trends contributed to their decline in mainstream visibility. Frontman Brian Vander Ark pursued a solo career, while other members explored side projects or left the music industry. The Verve Pipe is remembered as a 1990s one-hit wonder, whose emotionally resonant songwriting captured mid-90s alternative rock, leaving a lasting impression on fans and college radio audiences even as long-term commercial prominence eluded them. Formed in 1997, Kidney Thieves blended industrial rock, electronica, and dark alternative elements, gaining attention with their debut Trickster, 1998, and follow-up Xerospace, 2001. Known for aggressive guitar riffs, electronic programming, and dynamic vocals,
the most recent one were my friends Sean and Juliet Bevan, 8mm. They had a successful funding for their tour and the release of their album.
They built a loyal underground following but struggled to break into the mainstream, as their intense sound limited radio play. Frontwoman Free Dominguez continued performing and releasing music solo, while guitarist Bruce Summers pursued production and side projects. Kidney Thieves are remembered as a late 90s U.S. act that pushed the boundaries of alternative and industrial rock, influencing peers in the scene while remaining largely outside mainstream recognition. Hailing from Arizona and active from 1993 to 1998, the Refreshments gained fame with their quirky alternative rock and humorous storytelling. Their 1996 album, Fizzy Fuzzy Big and Buzzy, featured the hit single Banditos, earning moderate radio play and MTV exposure.
Fizzy Fuzzy Big and Buzzy is the debut album from my next guest, who's going to be performing this weekend in Boston, Providence, and Hartford. Please give a nice welcome, folks, to the Refreshments.
Despite early promise, subsequent releases failed to replicate this success, and internal tensions led to their breakup. Lead singer Roger Clyne continued performing with Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers, while other members pursued various music projects or left the industry. The Refreshments are remembered as a 1990s one-hit wonder, blending catchy melodies with satirical lyrics, exemplifying the era's playful approach to alternative rock and the fleeting nature of commercial success. Active throughout the 1990s, Semibeings carved a niche in alternative and indie rock with melodic hooks and introspective lyrics. Their sound blended grunge, power pop, and post-punk, appealing to a devoted underground following. Despite critical recognition, they never broke into the mainstream. The band released several albums and EPs, including Gravity and Water, showcasing their songwriting and eclectic influences. Members, including lead vocalist Rick Thorne and guitarist Eric Kolb, pursued solo projects or joined other bands after their 1999 breakup. Semibeings are remembered as a 1990s underground act whose creative energy exemplified the era, leaving a legacy cherished by fans while largely bypassing mainstream audiences. Stroke 9, a San Francisco-based alternative rock band formed in 1989, found their brief fame in the late 1990s with the single Little Black Backpack from Nasty Little Thoughts, 1999, which gained radio play and MTV rotation. Their catchy post-grunge pop rock style resonated with audiences.
Okay, so the Strokes played in Toronto last night, and the crowd was insane. The lineup was crazy, put on a fabulous show, and you're going to actually get a chance to see.
But critics often considered them lightweight and overly commercial. Follow-up singles and later albums failed to replicate their initial success. Members, including lead vocalist Luke Esterkin, guitarist Greg Gweldner, bassist John McDermott, and drummer Tad Kubler, continued performing and releasing music independently. Stroke 9 is remembered primarily for their late 90s hit, exemplifying a band whose fleeting mainstream moment highlights the challenges of sustaining success in the competitive alternative rock landscape.
And like for people that had never heard the song, it would like have a totally different ring, you know? So that was a cool song. I just think it's like bad timing, you know?
But how did Thin Lizard Dawn attempt to sustain a mid-90s rock presence with 2 albums? Emerging in the early 1990s, Thin Lizard Dawn was an alternative rock band blending grunge, pop, and post-punk influences. They released 2 albums, Thin Lizard Dawn, 1995, and Go, 1996, showcasing catchy melodies and guitar-driven arrangements. Despite critical recognition and energetic live shows, they struggled to gain mainstream attention, overshadowed by more commercially dominant acts. Lead vocalist Scott Reeder and guitarist Tony Krug pursued other music projects after the band's breakup, while remaining members moved into production or left the industry. Thin Lizard Dawn is remembered as a creative 1990s alternative band whose limited exposure prevented long-term mainstream impact, yet they retain a small, dedicated fan base. Formed in 1984 in Ellensburg, Washington, Screaming Trees gained mainstream attention in the early 1990s with Sweet Oblivion, 1992.
Guests are a Seattle band, and tonight they are making their network television debut with us. This right here is their newest album. It's entitled Sweet Oblivion.
Part of the grunge wave alongside Nirvana and Soundgarden, they combined psychedelic rock textures with gritty alternative riffs and emotive vocals. Singles like Nearly Lost You brought moderate attention. But the band struggled to match the commercial success of their Seattle peers due to inconsistent promotion and internal tensions. Members, including vocalist Mark Lanigan and guitarist Gary Lee Conner, pursued solo careers and other projects after the band's 2000 breakup. Screaming Trees are remembered as a 1990s grunge-era act whose creative contributions earned cult admiration, even if mainstream recognition remained limited. Formed in 1989 in California, Ugly Kid Joe rose to early 1990s fame with their debut America's Least Wanted, 1992, featuring hits like Everything About You, which received MTV rotation and radio play. Known for combining hard rock riffs with tongue-in-cheek humor, the band struggled to sustain commercial momentum as tastes shifted toward grunge and alternative styles. Subsequent albums failed to replicate their initial success, and lineup changes contributed to their decline. Members, including vocalist Whitfield Crane and guitarist Dave Fortman, pursued solo projects, production work, or joined other bands. Ugly Kid Joe is remembered as a 1990s crossover act that briefly captured mainstream attention while embodying the era's fleeting, novelty-driven rock popularity. Formed in 1988 in New York City, Unsane carved a niche in the early 1990s noise rock and post-hardcore underground. Their abrasive guitar riffs, aggressive vocals, and industrial-tinged production defined a raw, uncompromising sound. Albums like Total Destruction, 1990, and Scattered, Smothered, and Covered, 1995, solidified their underground reputation, though mainstream success eluded them. Members Chris Spencer, vocals, guitar, Dave Curran, bass, and Vincent Signorelli, drums, continued performing, with side projects and solo work complementing the band's ongoing activity. Unsane is remembered as a 1990s noise rock act that pushed alternative music's boundaries, influencing industrial and hardcore bands while remaining largely outside the commercial spotlight. Hailing from Zion, Illinois, Local H formed in 1990 and became known for their two-piece setup and raw, grungy sound. Their 1996 album, As Good as Dead, featured the hit single Bound for the Floor, which gained significant alternative radio play.
From their album As Good as Dead, please welcome from Zion, Illinois, Local 8.
Known for clever lyrics, heavy guitar riffs, and stripped-down production, the band achieved moderate commercial success but struggled as post-grunge and nu metal rose in popularity. Original members Scott Lucas, vocals, guitar, and Joe Daniels, drums, later saw lineup changes, with Lucas continuing Local H alongside new members. The band is remembered as a 1990s alternative act that captured the era's angst-driven sound while maintaining a devoted fan base despite limited mainstream domination.